Good morning, guys. So sorry for some trouble. I was facing some issues with camera. I needed to restart my machine twice, but hopefully everything is looking good. Sorry for the inconvenience and I apologize for delay. Okay. Okay. So I think yesterday we talked about something called as exception handling. We have seen a couple of demos and probably we now hopefully are comfortable with it. Okay. So let us continue with the next point and see how we can use those modules. Yesterday I mentioned that, or day before yesterday also I mentioned that there is something called as a module with which we can reuse the functionality. Okay, so let us see how we can be used here. Can you elaborate the point packet tracer? It has nothing to do with this. Adesh, I don't know why you are asking this question at this point. Probably there is nothing we have to talk about packet tracer. Packet tracer is completely different concept. Okay, if you have any doubt, just send me a separate WhatsApp. I'll answer it there. Okay. Vipin, you told us the question like this, can you ask something working with the OP, still POP? Exactly. Vipin, I guess I answered that question a couple of times, but let me answer this question one more time. Not a big deal. I'll show you something. Probably you can understand this. I hope now with this experience, whatever you have seen till now, probably you can understand what I'm going to talk about. So see, this is a very quick example of it. Vipin, this is an answer to your question. So probably what I'm going to do here is, let's say this is the class person, very simple class. I'm going to say def underscore underscore init, and then we'll just get only a name and age. Doesn't matter what you're getting here. So probably I'll say again, name is equals to name and self underscore age is equals to age. This is something we have talked about many a times now. Again, you can install, you can create your print info function or print info method, or you can go for overriding the underscore underscore str underscore underscore. Choice is yours. I'm going to say print info for now. Again, in this case, I'm going to print both of them by saying this is name, which is equals to self underscore underscore name, and let's say print, which is age equals to again self underscore underscore age. That's it. This is a very simple example. Now, Vipin, this is the answer to your question. Watch carefully what I'm going to show you here, because this time I'm going to create an object of person by passing name, that's person 1, and age, that's 20, and as simple as print info. That's a function we are calling here. Now, when you try to run this code, probably from object-oriented perspective, everything is up to the mark. Like we have created a class, we have created some private members, we have a method there, print info. We are creating an object of it, and then we are calling this particular function here. So everything is working as per our object-oriented concepts. But behind the scene, as I mentioned earlier, there is no POP. There is no OOP. Actually, everything is POP because everything drills down to POP. Hopefully I mentioned this. Though you are creating this as, though you are calling this as a method on an object. For you, you are calling a method print info on an object person. But behind the scene, this is not the case. Behind the scene, Python is converting the statement into something like person dot print info, and then it passes that person. So ultimately, though you are saying person dot print info, behind the scene, Python is going to make that call like person dot print info and then passing that person here. This person here will be treated as a kind of self internally. Another one, probably when you talk about something like a, just give me a second. Okay, so when you talk about something like a object here or something like a person here, person is a class for us. You know what? Behind the scene, there is nothing called as a class. The class itself is an object of something. Let me show you here. Last time we already have seen this. Probably I was talking about person underscore something like a date, or person, that's an object. Person, that's a class, dot underscore. If you can recall, there is something called as a doc. Doc stands for docstring. The one which you are mentioning here will be printed there. Maybe I'll say this is a test person class. Who cares? Just need something else here. So probably when I say run, you will see that one is telling me that object is represented as a dictionary and class is having a docstring. Look at the difference between line number 19 and line number 20. On line number 19, we are using person where p small, and this is a reference or this is an object. When you talk about line number 20, where p is capital, we are talking about person as a class. When you talk about the person as an object, I can understand that that when you are talking about this person, I can just go back here and say what is the type of it. So probably I can say person is equals to person as usual, you know that. And then we can say the type of, sorry, the type of person, which is equals to type of object person, P is small. When you do it with capital P person, watch what happens here. So behind the scene, it is also going to create an object for the person, the class itself. Watch what happens here. When I say run, see the one which is P capital, you can see that this is the docstring, and the one which is P capital person is also a type of class type. This person where P is small, we can understand this is an object of person class, which is having a type is equals to underscore underscore main underscore underscore person. Now, what is that underscore underscore main underscore underscore is what we are going to see today. But this is so surprising that what exactly do you mean by person as a class? You see, person is a class, but class is also a type of type. So basically, when you talk about this hierarchy, when you talk about the person, when you talk about the Python's hierarchy, everything goes down to a simple POP structure, which internally is calling the C or maybe C++ code, depending on which version you are using. I mean, depending on which compiler you are using. If it is a Java compiler, it's going to call the Java classes. If it is a C compiler, it's going to call the C code. If it is if it is something like a JavaScript compiler, then it is going to call the JavaScript, and so on and so forth. Probably if you can recall day one, where I mentioned Python is having many different versions available, Jython, C Python, so on and so forth. We are using C Python for now. So behind us, it is going to call our C code. So that's what I said earlier as well. There is nothing called as object-oriented programming in the world. I mean, this is just for our understanding. But behind the scene, everything goes down to assembly. Everything goes down to POP, because assembly itself is a POP. So hopefully you can understand here. For us, this is a class. Fine. For Python, it's not a class. Python, it's nothing but a variable of type. So what is a type of capital P person? It's just a type. There is nothing other than that. So there is nothing called as object oriented, not only in Python I'm saying, but also it's something you can apply the rule in all over the languages. So probably it doesn't matter which language you are working with. Ultimately, everything has to come down to assembly, and assembly is POP. That's it. So there is nothing OP, everything is down to POP. That's what I said earlier. Okay. Okay, so let's continue further and let's talk about the object. Yes, Suyog, I wanted to discuss a generator, but it's okay. Let's not do it right now. Let us finish the other important topic first. Generator is a little bit advanced. Again, I don't want people to drop off right away when I start talking about a generator. Okay, we'll keep it reserved for some other day. I have no problem with it, but it's better we can do it later. Okay, yeah, deinitializer, I'll talk about it, Ketan. Okay, whenever it is required. What Guido Rossum used to invent? Which language? Guido Rossum is the person who has invented Python based on C. He wanted to implement something which is simple enough as JavaScript and which is having all the features of C++. So that's why he combined both of these, best of these two worlds, and he created a language called as a Python. Okay. Anyways, so let's continue further and see what exactly the module is for us. Now, before we talk about the module, I have a very simple example. Let's take this example itself. Don't want to do this one. I'm just going to create a simple person class object and let me call that person.printinfo. Watch what happens here. When I run this code, everything works fine. Everything works fine in a sense. I'm able to create an object. I'm able to get the person details like name is person1, age is equals to 10, and so on and so forth. Everything is working fine. But when I try to use the same class, watch what I'm trying to do here. When I'm trying to use this person class, not in this one, but in other file. Let's say this is going to be my page 2. I want to create an object of this person class here. Can I? Let's give it a try. Say person, which is equals to a person class, and the name is say person2, for example, and the age, let's say 40 or 30, whatever. So person2 is equals to person. And I want to make a call to that person2.printinfo. So I'm trying to create an object here. Everything worked fine. I could create an object. I could get all the information about that person without having any problem. If I try to use this here, if I try to say, hey, I want to call that, or I want to create an object of that person class here in page 2 named person2, And if I want to call the method print info, probably right now the PyCharm is telling me something is weird, something is not working here. Let me give it a try anyways. And when I give it a try, probably you can understand it's saying that person is not defined. In a sense, it is not able to find the person class here. Surprising enough. I think I need to import that file somewhere. I mean, if you are coming from C or C++, in that case, in those languages, we generally create a header file and then we use hash include header file or something. Now, how do I do it here? Okay, the simplest option is copy this class and you know what, just come back here and paste it here. As simple as that. You know, if I run my code, everything works fine. Don't you see that? I found a fix. I just copy paste the code and everything will work. Naturally, this is not the right solution because I don't want to, you know, just copy this code everywhere whenever I need to create an object of it. So there has to be some better way. So what's the better way then? If I want to share this class with others, or if I want to share the code written in this page with some other pages, how do I do this? To do this, Python gives you an understanding of one file as a kind of a module. So what is a module in Python? A module in Python is nothing but any file. Listen to me very carefully. Any file you have created till now, which is having an extension of .py, which means whatever code we are writing right now, let's say page1.py or maybe page2.py, both of them will be treated as different modules. So this is a module page 1 and this is the module page 2. So whenever you want to reuse your code, you always have to think about, or always you have to think from the module's perspective. So think about a module and think from the module's perspective, and you see that now I have created a class inside a module page 1, which I want to share with page 2. Both of them are modules. The only difference here is the page 1 has the definition of person and page 2 is where I want to use it. One more time, what is a module? A module is nothing but any file that is having a py extension. So page 1 is nothing but a module, page 2 is nothing but a module, and one module can definitely share the contents of it with the another module. So how do we do this? To do this, we have to start importing one module into another. So how do we do it then? To do it, watch this first. Before I start doing it or before I start importing it, I want to show you something. Watch what I'm trying to show you here. First, let me put this code in commented for a minute and then we'll come back and enable it again. But for now, I'll just go back here and say print. I want to print __ name __. Now, what is this name here? The name here is called as the module name. So I'll say this is the module name, which is kind of retrieved by using __ name __. So this dunder name will tell me what is the current module name. So when I say run, probably I can see that the module name is nothing but mean __ mean __. Maybe I'll just say that page 1 module name is equals to something like name. That's it. Watch what happens here now. I'll copy this line, put this code in comment for a minute, and then I'll come back here and say page 2 module name. Last time I saw page 1 module name was main. Now when I try to run this page 2 module, let's see what happens. Oh, surprisingly, page 2 module becomes mean. Oh, what is going on? Both of them are telling me that the name of that module is mean. How come it is possible? It is possible because whenever you are running a module, for example, when I run page 2, that same module will become the main module. When I run page 1, then the same module page 1 will become the main module. So this becomes the main module. It tells me dunder mean. This becomes the main module. It tells me the module name is nothing but dunder mean. Both of them are different modules, page 1 and page 2. Page 1 is having a definition of person and page 2 is where I want to use it. To understand that, first consider page 1 as a module and page 2 as another module. To get the module name, we are using __ name __. So this tells me page 2 is module when I run page 2, and this tells me the page 1 is module, __ mean __, is the name of this module of page 1 when I run page 1. Now let me show you what happens here. If I go to page 2 and if I try to import that page 1 module, so this is how we are importing a module. Import a module. How do I import a module? As simple as that. Import page 1. Page 1 is the name of the module because the name of the file is page 1. So as I mentioned earlier, every file is considered as a module. So this module is where I have defined a person 1 and I want to use it here in this page 2. That's a reason why I'm importing page 1. Watch what happens. I'm going to run page 2. Please understand which file you are running because accordingly the underscore underscore name underscore underscore will differ. When I run page 1, I saw that last time. You also must have seen that on your machine. When you run page 1 tells me the module name is underscore underscore main underscore underscore. Good. This is something we already have seen last time. I'm going to run page 2 now. See, you are in page 2. If I run this code, surprisingly, page 2 module is still main, but page 1 module becomes page 1. How come it is printing page 1 module name? I'm not even printing anything here in page 2. Why is it printing this line? Page 1 module name is equals to page 1. Probably you can see here line number 2 is where import page 1 statement we have added, and because of that whatever code is written here, it's getting imported inside page 2. It's as good as it's copy and pasting that code here. I mean, you would do it, but if you do it unnecessary, your code increases, unnecessary you are maintaining the different versions of the same file, and probably you will end up having too many files having the same class. That's a kind of very difficult to manage. So let Python manage us for Python it for us. So when I say import page 1, it does something like this. It simply goes back, it simply copies whatever is the code here in this, and it simply pastes it in place of this. That's what generally it does. Oh, that's the reason the page 1 module name comes here. Now you see why page 1 is kind of printing here. So import page 1 is because of it. I mean, because of this line, it is getting all the code written in page 1 and adding it into page 2. And that's how I'm getting the page 1 module name statement here. But did you notice something? When I run page 1.py, let me just go back here and say run this. You see, page 1 module name is dunder main. When I run page 2, you will see that the page 2 becomes main, but page 1 becomes a module with the name page 1. The name changes, Aisha, absolutely right. But why does it do that? It does that because of a simple rule. The rule in Python is the currently executing module, the one which you run, becomes the main module. So possibly this becomes a main module when I execute it. This becomes a main module when I execute it. So if I say right click run in page 1 becomes the main module. That's what we just said that. When I right click here and say run, page 2 becomes the main module, and that's what you see here. So whenever you are running a module, that module becomes the main module. Then the module's name becomes the underscore underscore main underscore underscore. Now why does it do that? It does that because of few reasons. Reason number 1, generally, I mean traditionally, if you know C and C++ or if you ever heard about them, then you generally will say that whenever you are running your any application, any C or C++ code, it by default starts with something called as the main entry point function. So when you are comparing Python with C or C++, we already had discussed this earlier as well. There is no entry point function in Python. Python is a scripting language, which means every time you run the code, it starts from line number 1 and it goes to the last line from top to bottom, executing the code from left to right. So this is what we discussed earlier as well. Traditionally, every language like C or C++ or maybe Java, for example, all of them are having something called as entry point function, generally named as a main. So again, traditionally, Python has decided to implement something similar behavior. Not exactly same as entry point function, but something on the same line. Python has renamed, or Python has said that the currently executing module will become the main module. So which module are you executing? I'm executing a main module. Which is your main module? That depends. When I run page 1, it becomes the main module. When I run page 2, it becomes the main module. When I run page 3, it becomes the main module. And whichever modules we are importing inside that main module will get the name as name of that file or name of that module. So the name of that file is the name of the module. Name of the file is page 1. Don't consider pi. That's an extension. So the file name is page 1. So the module name becomes page 1. So here the name is page 2. So the module name will become page 2. Imagine there is a page 3 which is importing page 2. In that case, page 2's name will become page 2 inside page 3. But when I run page 2 module, by default, page 2's module will be always underscore underscore main underscore underscore. This is reason number 1. Traditionally, Python wanted to keep the similar concept in Python that there is no entry point function, but the one which you run, the module which you run becomes the main module. So that's how they have kept the traditional approach of C and C++. Reason number 2, very important reason. Understand this reason, see if you can. If not, then ask the question, I'll repeat it again. Now, generally what happens here is, most of the times when we are writing the code, let's say I'm writing this code here and probably, just for testing purpose, I have created an object like this. Now, generally what happens here is when you run this code, fine. I mean, I'm checking the things. I see that it's main. I see that the person object is working. Everything is looking good. I mean, I can write a number of cases here, test cases here while creating this object, while testing this object. I can pass some other parameters and I can write many lines of code just to see that, yeah, this is a kind of code which is working fine. So I can write my own code inside page 1. But I made this page, or I made this page 1 module so that I could define this person class and I could share this with others. So I've created, or I've defined that person class for testing purpose. I've written that code, but when it gets, look at this one here, when it gets imported in page 2, probably you can understand I never have created any person object in page 2, but even before page 2 starts, it has already created an object and then already has printed the details of that object. Okay, so that simply means whatever we have written here, it's getting executed inside page 2 as well, just because of the statement import page 1. Okay, now how should I solve this problem then? The only thing here is I'll have to literally put this code in comment, come back here and then run my code. Then everything will look as per expectation, which means whatever code is whatever code we have written here in page 2 is getting executed. But again, if I want to add some more thing in person 1, so probably if I want to just go back here and add one more function like something like can vote, for example, again, the same function we have written thousands of times now. So probably if I say return self dot underscore age is greater than or equals to 18, so on and so forth. So if I want to test it out, of course, we'll have to again uncomment the code. And again, we'll have to check if that person maybe can vote. If that person can vote. So probably I'll test the code and everything will work fine. Oh, it seems like the person is not able to vote because of the age equals to age is greater than, sorry, age is less than 80. Fine. Okay, my testing is over. So I'll go back in page 2. And when I say run, again, I forgot to comment that code. You see, these cases will happen, and these cases generally happens with Python developer. And that's the reason when Python, when you are in Python, don't write code like this. If you have made this page or if you have made this module so that you can share whatever code you have written here with others, then it's always a good idea to execute this code only when you run page 1, not when you import page 1 in others. So how do I solve this problem then? To solve this problem, you just need to recall the fact that whatever module you are going to run, that becomes the main module, which means if I run page 1, this becomes the main module. You already have seen it here. Page 1 module name is equals to blah blah, and when I import it into another module, the name of that page or name of that module changes to the module name or the page name itself. Now hopefully you must be getting some clue here. So whenever I want to execute this code, I should be inside that page 1, or I should execute page 1. The moment I execute page 1, the name here becomes main. And that's what the deciding criteria, deciding factor, when should I execute this code. I should execute this code when my name is equals to main. Main is underscore underscore main underscore underscore. If that is the case, then I want to execute my code. Do you understand this line number 17, what we are saying here? Guys, can you please tell me whether have you understood this? Do not consider this as an entry point function. This is not an entry point function. There is no entry point function in Python. This line here, just make sure that execute the following code only when page 2, sorry, not page 2, it's I'm sorry, page 1, sorry, page 1 is the main module. So that's what we are saying. When you execute page 1, see what happens here. When I execute page 1, you know that the main, the name is underscore main underscore underscore, and that's the reason it goes here and it executes the code. If you don't believe me, just let me put a breakpoint and let us debug this application and see whether that is true. So what is name here? So probably the name here is something like underscore underscore main underscore underscore, which is very true because we are running this particular code here. So if I execute this code, you see the name is nothing but underscore underscore main underscore underscore, which is nothing but this value. So it will continue and probably it will just go here, 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 and it will execute the code. Very good. So this is what I was expecting. Watch what happens now. So probably if I go back here, I want to put a breakpoint here as well. And if I try to debug this code. Now, when you are debugging this code, watch what happened. We try to import page 1. Inside page 1, what is the name right now? The name here is not underscore underscore main underscore underscore. It is rather the page 1. That is the name of the module. Is it main? No, it is not. So if it is not main, it will never execute this line and it will continue further executing your module code, and that's how it goes. So probably whenever you are trying to write the code or trying to execute some code only within this module, then this line should be added here. This is a kind of, this is the kind of a code which we want to execute only when page 1 is executed. Most of the times you write the code to test the functionality if it is working fine, so that you could reuse this code in others. And this case is generally written to execute that code, which is used for testing the shared code you wanted to share with the others. Parag, so we are supposed to write the whole code inside the 1F. General, yes, that is true. Most of the times this is true because most of the times when you write a code, you want to reuse this code in other modules. As I said, every page you are going to write here is considered as a module, and you can share anything with any other module. So if not today, but if tomorrow I want to share something in this file, it always makes sense to write this code in the first part, and then you can start writing the code here. Most of the times you will see that code, and if underscore underscore name underscore underscore equals to main in almost all Python code. Those who already have seen Python code online, they might have figured it out that we never have talked about this, but you might have seen this in many of the Python codes. The reason behind this is very simple. I wanted to tell you that this is nothing but the module name, and if the module name is main, then this code will get executed. When you import this in others, this will never get executed. The reason behind this is very simple. When you execute page 1, this becomes main. When you execute page 2, this becomes main. So the name of page 1 will become page 1. So that's the reason why we generally write this code. Absolutely. Thanks for confirmation, guys. Vipin, can we directly make the call for page 1 define functions from page 2? That's what we are going to do now. So probably Vipin, the main intention behind writing this statement, line number 2, import page 1, is just to reuse the code written inside that page 1. So how do we do this? Now try to understand this. Before I show you how to do it, first confirm the fact that you have understood all of these things. Have you understood this line here, this particular line number 19? Are you sure about that? Very good. So thanks for confirmation. And when you talk about something like underscore underscore name underscore underscore, please remember this will become main only when you execute the same module. If you are importing it another module, this will be always the name of the file or name of that module. Okay, so this is how we started importing it. Now see what happens here. Generally, whenever you are importing that page 1, whatever is getting imported or whatever you want to use it from page 1 can be accessed by using the page name, or by using the by using something like the module name. Okay, Rohit, I already have started the live code. Can you just go back and try to use this? Use the second one, not the first one. You know, my computer restarted there. So probably you can go back and try to look at the second one in your list. Okay. So the one which is having the ID as 123. So try that, it will work. So probably you can copy paste the code if you want, but it's already live. Okay. Okay, so now it seems like I have page 1 here, which is nothing but a name of that module. So if I want to share something, if I want to get something out of that page 1, all I have to say here, watch what happens here. It's still giving me a problem. So if I really want to go for a kind of person, it has to be used as page 1 dot person, because page 1 is the one where we are importing, or page 1 is the name of the module where person 1 is defined. So that's how it goes. Priti, your question, what does underscore underscore mean underscore underscore module define or resides? This is nothing, I mean, this is nothing but a name of a variable. I'm sorry, value of a variable. There is no main module. There is nothing like that. It's just an adjustment Python uses to check which module you are executing. So this is a kind of a value. Can you see that? I have added that inside string, means it's a value. This value will be stored in that variable vendor name only when you execute this module. So that's a value. It's nothing where it is defined, or it's nothing which is kind of pre-built or inbuilt in Python. It's just an adjustment Python does when you are executing that module. Hopefully that answers your question, Preeti. Okay. So I was talking about this fact that when I write this code, when I add that class person inside page 1, person 1 is defined by page 1. And that's the reason if I want to create an object of that class outside that module by importing it here, then I'll have to use that person name as page 1 dot person. Okay, let's give it a try and see if it is working. Wow, look at that. It started working now. Now, for the first time, we have called, or we have created an object of a class which is not there inside this module, which is there inside something like a page 1. So page 1 is where we have declared it, and page 2 is where we are creating an object of that module. That's it. This is the way we should start sharing our code among multiple modules here. So this is the way you should do it. I hope you can understand that. So for example, let me just come back here. Now I'll write a better code, because page 1 and person, they generally do not match. So for example, if I want to create a class, let's say car. So I would generally name that file as car.py, so that anyone who is looking at the file can easily understand car.py generally will contain the class definition of a class, class definition of a car. Nidhi, look at this. I'm not only recapping it, I'm just giving you one more example. See how it can be used. So car.py is the one where we are trying to get a new car class. Conventionally, name of the class should be the name of that file, not like Python, not like Java. In Java, those people who are coming from Java, you would notice that it should be capital C unless it doesn't work. You know, so here it's not the case. Here, generally the file names will be in lowercase, but when you are writing the class name, it will be always starting with the capital case or uppercase. Let me start writing this class car, and right inside this, let us say underscore init. That's the model, company, and price. As simple as this, what we have done last time, company and price. Again, that's self underscore model. Sorry, model is equals to model, self underscore company, which is equals to company, and self underscore price, which is equals to price. There is no one to derive this class from. That's the reason I made all of them as private. So probably I'm just going to go back here. I'll say def print info for testing, and we'll print all the values, like model is equals to model. That's self underscore model. Just copy and paste. That's the company I'm looking for. And probably this is the company. And finally, the price. So whenever you are declaring a class, generally name that file accordingly, so that we will be able to use this class inside another module. I want to give it a try. How do I do it? Probably I can say car is equals to car, and probably I can add some models. Say i20, again Hyundai. So this is Hyundai and I'm sorry, Hyundai, and the price is 7.5. So probably I'm going to go back here and simply say car.printinfo and test my code. Everything is working fine. Now, I know that whenever I'm writing the code, like testing this class car, then probably I think I should put that under inside the mean. So probably you can write the mean. This is a shortcut in Python. You don't have to write this condition on your own. Just say mean and say enter. It automatically will add that condition for you. You are in PyCharm, so take an advantage of it. And then you can put that code right like this. So whenever you are writing the code, just make sure that it is under that if condition, so that if I import this somewhere in the other module, you should not get this output there in the other module. So that's the way to do it. I'll go back to my page 2 one more time, and I want to create an object of that class car. How do I do it? To do it, I'll have to say import car. So precisely again, look at this. The name of that file is car. So anyone looking at this will understand, oh, that's nothing but a file which is defining a car class. Okay, so that's a common understanding. That's a common convention we follow here. Now, how do I create an object of this car class? It's very simple. I'll show you that here. All we have to say here, any guess? How do I do it? How do I create an object of car class? Any guess? You might have already guessed it. Like the way we are creating an object of person class on page on line 7. Yes, exactly. You might have already guessed it. It's like car is equals to exactly car.car. I mean, car.car is nothing but a module name we are importing here, and the car is nothing but the class. So probably I'll say car1 is equals to car, and then I can say i10 again Hyundai probably, and say 5.5. That's it. And then you can say print, not print actually, car1 dot print info. That's it. That's it. Very simple. When I say run, you will see an object of car getting created without having any problem. I could share both person class and the car class from the different modules like this. I hope that must have given you a kind of an example of how to define a class in its own file like car.py, and how do I share it with others by using import keyword. Import keyword is the one when we are importing other modules. Module is the one which is having a file with an extension py. Always remember, every py file, every Python file itself is called as a module. Okay. Okay. Yes, I think Nidhi, that hopefully must have given you a kind of a revision. Okay. Adesh, your question, can we do it in a different directory? Just wait for a minute. I'll talk about it. Tanya, your question, sometimes when we use in pip install package still gives an error, module not found comes up. Yes, that's because the module names are not properly written. That's a reason you might see that problem. We'll talk about the pip when we are done with this. Okay. Can we get or create IntelliSense for person class in page 2? Not getting what you mean by get or create IntelliSense. IntelliSense will work based on your IDE there. Okay. So probably you will not be able to create anyone, but whatever is given by PyCharm, you'll be able to use it. Anyways, so that's an example of how we can create a class quickly and then how we can use it somewhere here. Now I'll give you a couple of different options, couple of different examples. Pay attention to what I'm trying to show you now. This is the basic example where I can see import a module, and maybe I can say create an object of a class declared or defined in page 1. Do the same thing for page 2 or car. That's it. Not page 2, that's car. So now I'll show you a couple of more examples where we can try something different than what we have done here. Watch what happens here. Say, I'm sorry, page 3, for example. Here also, I want to create an object of Python, person. So how do I do it? To do it, we have decided to go for import page 1. Unfortunately, I didn't use a proper name when I was declaring person. So now the name is something like a page 1. It's okay, doesn't matter. I can create an object of this by saying, say, person1 p1 is equals to page1 dot person, and then I can create an object of this class by saying this is going to be a person1 and the age is going to be 30, for example. I'll call this p1 dot print info like this, and probably is it page 1 person? Yes, it is print info, and I can also check if the person is eligible for voting by saying can vote, which is equals to p1.canVote, as simple as that. Let me run this code and probably you will see page 1 has no attribute like person 1, that's a person p capital, my bad. So this is what we are going to get here. That's a page, so the person's name is person 1, age is 30 and canVote is equals to true. Very, very, very simple. So probably when you start looking at this is very simple to understand because this is something we already have looked at last time. This is the name of the module. This is the name of the class, which is defined on the name of the module, and everything goes well. Now, generally what happens here is when you are writing code like this, you don't want to use the original name because the original name doesn't make any sense for me. So page 1, I think it's not good. I don't want to use that page 1 everywhere. Imagine that you have different classes defined here. So in page 1, we are having a person, let's say another class, say a class, maybe something like an employee, for example. Maybe there is nothing right now, but there's an employee class. Excuse me. So every time I want to create an object of these classes, let's say even, we'll have to start with page1.employee. Every time we have to start with that page 1. So reason behind this is very simple. Name of that module is something like a page 1. Now sometimes the module names are a little bit bigger than what we are writing here. Excuse me. So is there any way we can make it short? Is there any way we can create a kind of an alias to that module name temporarily? Yes, we can. That's what I'm showing you here. Now, probably when you say import page 1, it uses the name of that file, page 1, as the name of the module. But instead of doing this, I want to give it a kind of a shortcut so that it will be easy for me whenever I'm creating or whenever I'm using it in throughout my code. So probably I can say import page 1 with an alias as, let's say p1, or let's say p, for example, p for let's say p for peach, or let's say p1. If it is a p1, then I will have to change it to person 1. It doesn't make any sense to have two different things here. So imagine that we are using that person's, imagine that we are using this module page 1 with an alias as p1. What do you mean by this? This means p1 here is an alias of page 1. What is an alias? I hope you can understand or you can recall. Alias is nothing but a different name or another name given to an existing entity. For example, we have seen something called as a function alias. Function alias is nothing but giving another name to an existing function. So this is an alias of page 1. Alias of page 1 simply means now henceforth, whenever I want to deal with this page 1, I will not be able to use page 1. Instead, I'll have to use a p1. Here also, I'll have to use p1.employee. So probably you can get the meaning here that whenever you are creating or whenever you are importing a module with an alias, you have to use that alias in order to deal with that particular module. So that is how it goes. It's very simple for us now. So I can say import page 1 as p1, and it from that page 1 will be used by using by using something like a p1 dot something. So p1 dot person, p1 dot employee, p1 dot function name, p1 dot whatever it is. So p1 is an alias with which I can deal with it. Okay. So hopefully you can understand that this is the way we are kind of giving a shortcut, or it's also called as an alias in Python. So using that alias, I don't have to go for page 1 every time. I can use a simple p1 all the time. Kaushik, your question, can you show an output of car.py? It's showing me an empty output. When you say car.py, when you want to run this, of course, you will have to run this and you will get an object of, you will get the value of that object, or maybe the information of that object car. Okay, something is wrong in your code. Maybe the condition is something not matching, or maybe something is wrong with the code. So please take a look at it. When you say that this is the page 3 and I want to use this module, let's say page 1, I've given it as an alias. At the same time, I'm going to do it for car class. So I'm going to say import car as a c1. c1 is nothing but another name, or maybe you can say an alias given to that module, which means I can create a car1 by saying c1.car, and then I can pass whatever information I want to pass. Let's say Fabia, let's say Skoda, and the price is say 5.5. Who cares? Again, car1.print info. And hopefully when I say run, see, I'm getting the information about my car. So basically what I'm trying to show you here is a way to import a module, and at the same time we can pass an alias to it, which will make your life a little bit simpler. You don't have to use that page one all the time. You can always say p1 and get this done. Now tomorrow, or maybe later today, when we start with using the module, like let's say NumPy, for example, one of the most important modules when you want to deal with it, or when you are in Python. So probably in that case, you will have to use something like generally import NumPy as NP for NumPy. So understand this, every time when we are importing NumPy, we are going to give it as an alias. So this is an example of alias. Now the good thing in Python is not like a Java. In Java, those people who are coming from Java, they might notice or they might know that you have to write the import statement in the beginning, and then you will start writing the code. You are in Python, so in Python the things are a little bit different. You can write them anywhere you want to write. For example, this is my function one precisely, and I'm going to move all this code to the function one, so that it will be easy for me to demonstrate a couple of different options. See, my code started with a function, and when I need, I use this import statement, I create an object of that, and I'm done with it. Which means when I run this function one, then and only then it will get imported. When I do not execute this function one, nothing will get imported from that code. Very important concept in Python again. In Java, though you are using it or not, the import statement will always be executed there. Here, the import statement will get executed only when you call this function. Means now it's in your hands that when to use it, how to use it, and for what you want to use it. So possibly you can import it anywhere you want to use. Of course, the common sense generally tells me that you can use it anywhere, but just before using that p1 or before using that c1.car or p1.person. So before you make use of any of the classes or any of the functions declared in that module, just write your import case. That's it. Import statement can be written anywhere in the code. Okay. Omkar, your question, after importing a module, it is showing no module named person, but the code works fine. It's okay. Sometimes your PyCharm is not able to detect it. It's okay. Doesn't matter. If the code is working fine, that's more than sufficient for us. Vipin, your question, is it possible to inherit a class defined in one module by a class in another module? Of course, yes. The only difference is you cannot just use a direct class name there. You can simply go for the module name dot the class name. That can be done anyways. Rohit, what will happen? What will be the scope of the import inside the function? The scope of import inside the function is limited to that function itself. That's what I said earlier. When you are not executing the function, this code will never get executed. This code will never get executed simply means your import statement will not get executed, which in the other words, we can say the import statement is kind of having a scope limited to function one. It's not like Java, it's like Python. When you are saying that import inside the function, it will get executed only within the function context. So you cannot just access this C1 or P1 outside of that function. That is what you need to understand here. Okay, I think it's better we can turn this into a function 2, and I'll use function 1 for having the another version, the one which I showed you earlier. That's the function 1, for example, where I can import directly the page 1 and create an object of, let's say, person 1, which is equals to page 1 dot person. So at least we'll have all the conventions in one single page, you know. So that's person 1. That's age, I guess, and let's say person 1 dot print info. So that's the way we can do it. You can also say import car, that's a module name, and you can create car1 is equals to car dot car, and then the module, let's say car1, or let's say model 1, I don't care. So that's an example, model 1, that's a company 1, and that's the price 0, for example, car1 dot print info, and then we can say function 1. Still it is going to work. So when I say run, you see that it still works. So probably I don't want to execute this, but I'm just telling you that there are different ways you can import a module in Python. This is one way, this is the second way. Let's look at the third way now. So probably function 3. So when you are in function 3, you can selectively use, or maybe you can import that car selectively, and then you can rename that as well. Or you can use that person and you can rename that as well. Now, generally, when you are in the code, and for example, I'm saying you have defined one more class here, let's say class person. Now the question here is, when I import a class from page 1, which person class it should use? Should should it use the person class defined in this case, or the person class which is given by another one? In such scenarios, it will be easy for us to rename our newly imported class. What do you mean by this? I'll show an example of this. Watch carefully. No, I don't need this. I was just giving an example, but this is what I'm going to show you here. Watch what happens. I'm going to say import. I'll say import. I want to import only one class. The class something. What is the name of that class? In page 1, person. So I want to use only a person class here. If I say page 1, that is going to import the entire module. If I say page 1 as P1, still it is going to import the entire module, meaning it is going to import person class, it is going to import employee class, it is going to import whatever is there inside this particular module. I don't want to do that. Instead, I can import only one class. Watch what happens here. You can say something like from, what's the name of that page? That page 1, and import only one class, that is a person. So if I have a class called as a person, I can import it only that particular class from that entire module. I don't have to import the entire module. Okay, so you can simply say from page 1 import module. Makes so sense that I'm not importing anything. Import only person class, which means even though you are having another class called as an employee, still you will not be able to use it here. Okay, so this is another way we can import a module, or we can import a particular entity from a module. But now see the difference here. When we were importing entire module, either by using this statement or by using an alias, we had to use that module name before getting any entity from it. So p1.employee, p1.person, or page1.person, car.car. But here, when you are saying from page 1 import person, you see, I can directly create an object of it by saying person, as if the class is declared in my current module. So probably I'll say person1, age is equals to 40, for example. Again, person1.printinfo. I can give it a try and see if it works. Of course, it has to. You see, I'm getting an output here. There's no problem at all. So you have another option. Instead of importing entire page 1 or entire module, you can import only a class from it. So when you are having multiple lines of code inside that module, this makes a lot of sense. I can do the same thing. From car, import a class named as car. And then I can easily create it by saying car. The name is, let's say again, model 1, I don't care. Again, the company, that's company 1. And the price is 0. Okay. So again, I can say car1.printinfo. Everything will work accordingly. You see, there is no problem here. The only difference here is now there is no module name, and because there is no module name, we have to use those classes with only the class names. No module name is required because we are not importing the entire module. When you are importing entire module, then it makes sense to use that module name dot class name. So probably this is how it is going to import only 1 or 2 classes from this. What if I want to import one more class? Let's say if I go back here, let me create one more class here. Let's say class player, for example. This is pass. Again, one more class, class student. For example, this is again an empty class. Class definition is not important. How we are going to import them is what we are looking at this example. So look at this. I can import only a person class out of page 1, which means I can use only a person class. If I try to say, let's say st1 is equals to student, I'll get an error. I'll get an error because student class, we have not imported it from page 1. But what if I want to import it then? So not a big deal. We can say from page 1, import, what's the name? Student. See, now the error is gone. So probably this is what I was looking for. So you can import as many times as you want and as many entities as you want. So for example, I have imported that page one's person, page one's student 2 times like this one. So this is the first statement, is the second statement. Of course, you can do this in one single statement as well, which makes a lot of sense. You can say from page one, don't want to write the statements twice. I can say import person and student, selective import. I don't have to import the employee class. I don't have to import the player class. I can just import only those classes which are needed in this particular module. See different variations here. You are in Python, and in Python, we have different variations like this. So you can import plain module or the whole module. You can import the whole module plus an alias to alias of that module. And at the same time, you can import only the selective classes, selective functions, or selective entities from that module using something like this. What is that, Vipin? What if we want to restrict the few functions from getting imported? You can't. So whenever you are writing the code, by default, everything can be imported depending on your requirement. Okay. So if you want to do this, I mean, if you want to restrict the import statement, then do this. But you can't restrict yourself from exporting it. So page one will always export every single thing here. Page one will decide which one of them should I import in this case. Okay, Vijay, your question. If page 2 has got a similar class name as page 1, what will happen? Exactly what I said a minute before. What if I have another class here in case of this class? Which one should it use? Should it use the person declared here, or should it use the person declared here? Okay, see the problem here. The problem here is whenever you are saying something like person in this context, you always will refer the one which is near to you. Now, what do you mean by near to you? Near to you means if I look at this person class object, watch this here. Maybe instead of doing it here, I'll bring that class and we'll show you an example of this here. Watch what happens. Maybe I can also create a class method, something like print info, so that you will understand what exactly is going on. So print, maybe I'll say from, what is this, page 3 person. That's it. And if you want, you can create a init method with only the name in it. So self underscore underscore name is equals to name. I don't care about the age and other things. Okay, it's very, very simple example. Okay, so we have a class person here, and now we want to create a function. So function 4, for example. Watch what happens here. So probably when I create a person class object, let's say P1, which is equals to person, you see, it's going to ask me to enter only name. Watch here. So it's asking me to enter only a name, let's say person 1. And when I say print info, it is going to tell me that yes, this function print info, I'm sorry, the class in this case is getting created from page 3 person, not from page 1 person. Now, if I go here and say import, whatever, it depends on you. If you want to import the entire page 1, you can do it, in which case we'll have to use page 1.person, or you can say from page 1 import person, and then you can import only that particular person. So probably here I can say P2, which is equals to person. And in this context, of course, when I say this, create an object of person, it will ask me to enter both name and age. I hope you can see that. So probably here, if I say name, that's person 2, and then probably I can say the age is equals to 40. Again, if I go back here and say P2 dot print info, naturally, when you are doing something like this, you will see that the person is now imported from page 1. So this is going to give me an error saying, hey, where is your other parameter? See, if I try to run this, it says that you're not having the other parameter. And the main problem here is you're trying to use it even before it's getting imported. So how will solve this problem? How do I get this done from this particular case? Can I use a different name, or can I do it something with which I can solve the problem? Vijay, this is the answer to your question now. There are two options. Either I can rename my class, say something like person 2. Of course, I can't do it in this case. I have to bring it here. But if I bring it here, you know that we'll have to pass an age as well. and then if I do it, probably it will work and it is going to give me an output from the existing class. But I'll have to rename this class in order to get this done here. But if I rename this class, do you know what happens? Wherever I created an object of this person class, I'll have to go everywhere and I will have to change this person name to person2, which I don't want to, because I already have done that. So isn't there any option for me to do it? Of course, yes, there is a way to do it. Watch what happens here. I can rename it, but I don't want to. So what I'm going to do here is, remember a moment before I talked about something called as an alias. Alias is a temporary name given to a module. The same thing I can do it with this class as well. So I know I have one more class with the same name. So I'm going to say from page 1, import person. But while importing person, I'm going to name this as my person. You know what? When I say my person, then all the person class, all the objects created by the person class will be created from my person like this. My person in the sense from this person like this. Look what happens now. I cannot pass 40 parameters here because this person is expecting only one parameter, name. But what if I want to create this person's object? Now we'll have to say my person here. I hope when I say run, you will see both of these person classes in picture. You see this person, maybe here it is. This person is getting called from person, page 3 person, and this person p1.printinfo, this is nothing but my person, and my person is kind of getting imported from page 1. Guys, do you understand that? So if you see here, probably you can say that in one page or in one module, if you are having already declared class person, and if you are importing the importing another class with the same name from another module, then you can have a kind of an alias. So here my person is an alias to person, which means henceforth whenever I want to create an object of this person declared in page 1, then we'll have to use my person instead of using person. That's how we can resolve this problem. So whenever you are having multiple classes with the same name, and if you want to resolve the conflict, this is the way to do it. In different languages, we are having different strategies. In Python, it's the simplest one. When you are importing person class from another module, you decide whether you want to keep the same class with the same name, or whether you want to use an alias, so that if you are having similar class in the same module, then there will be no conflict. So it all depends on your requirement. Okay, so now you see there are different ways to do it. So probably I can say this is person, this is this is person declared in the same module, this is person declared in the page module, and then I'm still using that person, and I'm still using this person as well with the two different objects like P1 and P2. P1 is an object of this person declared in page 1, and P2 is an object of this person declared in page 3. So I'm still able to create an object of both the classes. This is the way you can do it. So probably you have seen 4 different options available here. One, you can import entire module as it is, which when you do it, you'll have to use the module name dot the class name or module name dot the entity name you want to use here. Second option, while importing the entire module, you can also go for a kind of an alias. So that alias can be used here instead of using the original module name. This comes handy when you are having a little bit bigger name of your module and you don't want to use that bigger name all the time. So you can use a very simple shortcut here or very simple alias here. We are going to use it a lot. So for example, in a module like NumPy, we are going to say import NumPy as NP. Another module like pandas, we are going to say import pandas as PD. Another module in say matplotlib, import matplotlib as matplotlib or maybe PLT, so on and so forth. So depending again on your requirement, you can give an alias and then you can use that alias everywhere. The third option is instead of importing the entire module, you can import only selective entities like this syntax. So this is going to import only person and student. Player and other classes will not get imported from page 1. And fourth one and the last one is where we are importing not the entire module, we are importing only an entity, but while importing an entity, we can also rename it. We can also assign a kind of alias to them, so that if there is another class with the same name in the same module, there should not be any conflict. This is how we can import multiple modules in the other module whenever you need them. Guys, can you please confirm, have you understood this? Okay, so at least couple of yes, that's fine. Okay, so now you know that how to import a module, how to reuse the stuff. Let us go ahead and let us do it one more time with a little bit different option. Okay. Okay, what is import numpy from numpy import star? I think Sangram, you must have noticed it here. Sorry for that, I didn't mention it, but let me do it now quickly. Maybe I'll just go back here and say def function. This is very uncommon to do it, but it's okay. Anyways, you're talking about that, so I can show you here. So you can say page one again, page one dot import, let's say person. You can say student, then the player, and what am I missing? I think there was one more class, employee. Okay, so you can say employee class, you know. So probably instead of importing every single thing like one by one, you can also go for page one, from page one import star. I hope you can understand the meaning of this. Star means import all from page one. That's it. Now, what's the difference here? The difference here is now you can directly create an object of person, student, and all of these classes. If you use only this one, you might get the you might ask this question: what's the difference between this and this? Because both of them are doing the same thing. So when you say import page one and when you say from page one import star, what's the difference? Both of them are importing every single thing from page one. The difference here is when you say import page one from page one import star, you can directly create an object of student because you are importing entities, not the entire module, but all the entities inside the module. When you say import page one, then you will have to use the module name in order to create an object of it. So if I want to go for creating an object of a student, then we can't do it like this way. We'll have to say page one dot student, and then we'll be able to create an object of it. So Sangram, I think that's an answer to your question. This is the way you can import all entities from page one. When I say all entities, it can be a class, it can be a function, it can be a variable, whatever it is. So this is the way we can do it. Okay. For your understanding, I'm going to put this one here. I'm going to put this one here, and I'll put one more example of a P2, for example, here, and we'll say that this is the way you can do it. Now student will be imported from the page one, and we can directly create an object of student. But here, when you say import page one, we'll have to say page one dot import. That's the difference. Okay. Import start only allowed at the module level. You can't do it, Akshada, because import start has no meaning here. You have to say import page one, import name, whatever name. This can be done at the module level or at the package level. So you can't do it inside your code. Okay. I'm getting this error because you might be using something like import star only. You have to say from page import something. That's the only way to do it. Ashara, give it a try. You will see that when you are saying from name of the page import star, then and only then it can be done in this context. Okay. Otherwise, it won't work. From page to import star. Of course, it has to work. Exactly. So what is there in the page two? Page two, do you have anything in your page two? There is nothing to import. That's what it is saying. There is nothing to import. You haven't declared anything there. Try using page one, try using car, try using something. It will give you what you're looking for. Okay. But the meaning for this is like when you are importing this, you are importing every single thing from page one. Generally, we don't use this statement because it creates so many conflict. Do you see a conflict here? Because now if I create a person object here, let's say again, P1 is equals to person, you will see that it's going to be a very complex or it's going to be very conflicted example, because now it is asking me to enter name and age. And probably you will see that in my person, I'm asking only name. So it's going to create a conflict here, conflict of interest, because both of them are having the same name. That's the reason. Generally, this is not very often people prefer to write code like this. So Just because someone asked that question, I answer this, but it's very uncommon to say from page import star. It's always better to be precise. I want to import this class. I want to import this class. I want to import entire module. That's the way to do it. Okay. So better, if it is not working, leave it. It's just a matter of importing all of these things. It's not very common that we generally prefer it, and it's just an answer to a question. That's it. Otherwise, you can safely ignore this as well. I didn't want to even talk about this, but it's okay. Someone asked that question, so I mentioned this. Anyway, so probably when you are doing this, I think we know now how to use a class. I'm sorry, how to use a module, how to declare one module into another module. Now think about this. Whenever I'm declaring, or sorry, whenever I'm working on an application, let's say I'm working on e-commerce application, for example, and I want to create different classes. Let's say I want to create a class called as product. I want to create a class called as, let's say, order. I want to create a class called as a customer, category, maybe so on and so forth, all of these classes. Now, whenever I'm doing it, probably I don't want to create them in one single hierarchy. One single hierarchy is like this. I've started creating all the modules. I started creating all the files under my Python directory like this, and it is going to increase in vertical way like this. Now, when you do it, it becomes very difficult for you to manage your classes. For example, let me give you a simplest example. Think about the scenario. Maybe, I don't know about you, but I love movies. I told you earlier as well. I love movies, and I watch too many of them. And I have more than 6,500 movies collection physically on my disks. So I have almost like 8 TB of hard drives just reserved for movies. Now imagine that you are having movies, and if you are adding all of these movies in one single directory, will it be manageable? Of course not. When you are doing something like this, it becomes a nightmare for you when you are searching for a movie. So how do you do it? Let's take a movies example here, so it will be easy for you to understand. If I have movies, generally this is what I do. I create a directory called as a movies. Inside that I create 3 languages, because these are 3 languages I generally watch the movie. So probably I say this is English, Hindi and Marathi. Under English, I create different genres like action, drama, romance, so on and so forth. And then when I download a movie, I generally put that movie in a particular folder. So tomorrow, if I want to watch a movie, let's say today my mood is to watch, let's say, an action movie. So I go to movies, English, action, and then I search for the movie I'm looking for. This is the way to manage your files. And when you say you are managing files like this, it becomes very easy for you to get what you are looking for, what you are searching for easily. You don't have to juggle between the files, and you don't have to even search them. You just go to a particular directory and you will find whatever you are looking for. Of course, you must be doing the same thing with your code as well. So probably you must have created a directory called as a Python. Under that, day 1, day 2, day 3. Under day 1, maybe file 1, file 2, file 3, so on and so forth. Directory structure is given only so that you can manage your files. So like like operating system has given this. It's not operating system, it's a file system, but the file system is the part and parcel of operating system. So I'm saying, if an operating system or file system has given a way to manage your files by putting them in different directories, this is the same story. You can do it in Python. Instead of adding all these files in one single directory, you can keep on creating different directories. Like I can create an account directory, and I can put all the classes, all the files related to the account. I can create, let's say, a customer directory, and I can put all the things related to the customer. I can create order directory, and I can put all the files, all the classes, all the code related to order inside that particular directory. That directory here, in case of Python, is generally called as a package. So what is a package? A package is nothing but collection of different modules. So probably when I say collection of different modules, that simply means collection of different files, because one file represents one module. So as you collect multiple modules together, you collect multiple files together, and all those files, when you put them in one particular directory, this directory is generally called as a package. So how do you create one? Let's take an example of it. So probably I want to create, let's say I'm developing an application for Sunbeam, for example. So right click on this, say new, and I want to create not a directory, but a Python package. There is a very small difference between directory and package. I'll show you the difference right away. I'm going to create a Python package here with the name something like a Sunbeam. you know. So when you enter, you will see that it has created a directory, and under that it has created underscore underscore init underscore underscore py. Now this is used for importing the modules. These are called as auto importing module. We'll talk about this later. So probably when you say that this is a package you have created, and if you start creating different modules, so probably I'll create a module like there is a faculty class, for example. So faculty, this is a class, let's say class faculty, for example, to represent all the faculties here in Sunbeam. For example, again, there is nothing inside it, just a simple empty class. If I want to create all the classes related to account department, so I'm going to say create a new package called as an account, and probably right inside the account, I'm going to create one more class called as accountant. So right inside this, I'll say create accountant, and again, I'll say a pass. So basically, I'll create a different file structure, I'll create a different directory structures like this, maybe one in another like this, or maybe we can create whatever structure you want interested in. This here in Python is called as a package. So how do you define a module? A module is nothing but any file written in Python with an extension .py. While how do you define a package then? A package is nothing but a directory which contains different modules, and very important, it also will contain another file underscore underscore init underscore underscore .py. This file is empty, at least for now. We'll talk about this later, little bit advanced concept, but right now it is empty. Ignore it for today. So right now, when you do something like this, probably you can find this becomes a package. This becomes a package. A package is nothing but collection of different modules. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because right inside the page 3, I want to create another function. Let's say function 6, for example, where I want to import maybe a faculty class. But where is the faculty class? The faculty class is in a module faculty, and the faculty module is in a package called as Sunbeam. So how do I do it then? To do it, we'll have to say import, see the hierarchy. We have a Sunbeam class, a Sunbeam package. Right inside this, there is a faculty. So faculty, where F is small, is the module name. So how do I use this module, and then how do I create an object of that class? See, F1 is equals to sunbeam.faculty.faculty, and then we can pass whatever object you want to create. See, this is the module and this is the class. So if I want to create a module or create an object of this class faculty, we'll have to use it like this. Probably you can understand, you don't have to do it like this. There is a shortcut. Exactly. So there is a shortcut. You might say for maybe Sunbeam dot, let's use an accountant class and say this is an accountant. This is the package Sunbeam. Inside this, there is a package accountant. Inside this, there is a module called as accountant. You can also say accountant as ACT, for example, and then you can say accountant1 is equals to ACT.accountant1. If you're not using alias like this, then every time you want to create an object of accountant, you will have to say sunbeam.accountant.accountant.accountant, something like this, which I really don't want to. That's the reason why the alias will be generally used in this context. Yes, it's same as Java Webpack. So whenever you are having a directory structure like this, you will always call that as a package. A package is nothing but a collection of different modules. Nothing different than what we have seen earlier. It just, you put them in the right directory structure according to your application, according to your logic, so that it will be kind of easily manageable. So tomorrow, if I want to add something related to account, I don't have to wander here and there. I can directly go to that package accountant, and then I can add whatever I was looking for. For example, tomorrow I want to add a bank account. No, not a big deal. I can say this is the bank class. Maybe I can add it here, and then I can deal with it. So whatever is related to a bank account department will be created right inside this package. So I don't have to think about this twice. For example, if I want to watch a, let's say, a movie with a genre, a Hindi movie with the genre, I can go to the movies, Hindi, and maybe something like a drama. And then inside that, I'll find ton of different movies, and then I'll watch a movie there. So that's how the directory structure is going to help you to manage your files. And if you are able to manage your files, probably it will be easy for you to manage your code accordingly. Okay, so that is how it goes. Oh, sorry. That is how it goes. And this is the reason why directory structure like this or why packages like this is going to help you to kind of make your life a little bit easier. So this is the way to do it. I hope I mentioned this earlier. There are two things here. One is called as a module and the second one is called as a package. Module is nothing but any file having .py extension and multiple such modules collected together inside one directory having _init_.py file will be created, will be considered as a package. Yes, every directory inside a package will have this file automatically created for you if you are using PyCharm. If you're doing it yourself, then it's just creating that file here. Why this file is used, we'll tell you that later. Right now, just see how the package is created and we'll use some packages. Then you will understand how the modules are getting auto imported and then we'll come back here and we'll fix it later. So that's the way we can create a package. Okay. So probably you can now understand like how the modules are created and how the packages are created and how they are imported. Most of the times we are not going to create a package like this, but most of the times we are going to use different packages when we are writing Python applications. When you are writing a bigger application, of course you have to kind of split your application into different packages. But most of the times you are going to use the third-party packages downloaded for a specific purpose. And that's what we are going to do starting from tomorrow, or rather starting from today. We'll see that. But before we see this, have you understood this? Have you understood how the package is constructed, how the modules are kept in the package, multiple packages like this, and will make your life a little bit easier? Okay. So at least a couple of years gives me a confirmation like, yeah, that is something that you are getting it. Very nice. So please understand, this is the package and all of them are the modules. Right inside the package, all of them are the modules. This is a module. Both of them are again modules. Okay, makes sense. Now let's continue further and see if it is, please explain line number 85. Which one, sir? Where one, where, which one? Line number 85, this one. This is a kind of a module we are importing. Please look at the way we have structured this. There is a Sunbeam, that's a top level package. Under that there is a sub package account, and under that there is a file. A file is nothing but a module with the name accountant. So here we are saying package, main package, sub package, and then the module, and then you are giving it as an alias. Why we are giving an alias? The reason is very simple. Because if we don't use this, then we'll have to use a kind of this statement. Watch this. If I say that, let's say import and use this, then we'll have to create an object by using something like A2, for example. Again, every single time we'll have to say accountant and then pass all the objects. Okay. So Ketan, I think that's the reason why you're a little bit confused, like why, what exactly is going on. This is the module. Accountant is the module which is present under account package, which is present under Sunbeam package. So that is an hierarchy we have preferred here. Okay. Okay. Adesh, what's a directory versus package? Directory versus package in PyCharm will just give you a small difference. A directory will be a simple directory which is kept for maybe adding some images or adding some assets for your program. While package is the one where you are going to have different collections. And the small difference is a directory will not have this file created _int_.py. A package will always create this file for you. That's the only difference between a directory and a package. Adesh, I think that answers your question. Aniket, please explain shortly how to create a package. Package or packet? Aniket, what are you looking for? Packet or package? Both of them are different. If you're looking for a package, it's simple as just right clicking on this and selecting a package. You see, so this is a kind of a package you are creating. For example, if I want to create a my package, or let's say I'm developing let's say quiz system, for example. So probably I'm going to go for here and I'll say this is a kind of a quiz application I'm looking for. Under, I'm sorry, my bad, I should have gone for a package, not for a kind of a file. So let me delete this one, sorry, my bad. I'm going to create a new package and I'll say this is a quiz package. Now inside quiz, I have, let's say, a question class and an answer class. So probably I'll go for a Python here. I'll say this is going to be a question class. This is a module. And then I can say class question. So here I'm going to represent all my questions I'm going to ask in a quiz. And every question is going to have a one or multiple answers. So probably this is my answer class, which is going to be represented by an answer class like this. Okay, so there is nothing inside this. As simple as that, you just create multiple packages as you need. And then when you want to use them, you can use them by easily saying import quiz is the package, dot name is question. That's the module, not the class. So you can say import, and then you can say q1 is equals to again quiz dot dot question. That's the class, and you are going to create an object of it. So the shortcut here is you can say import, say quiz dot answer as maybe you can say answer as ans. That's the module name you can use, and then you can say import ans. I'm sorry, not import. My bad. A1 is equals to ans dot answer, something like this. Or another option, maybe we can say import, I'm sorry, from quiz answer, import answer, like this. And then you can say A2 is equals to answer. So you decide which strategy you want to go for. Okay, so that's how you can deal with the packages. That's how we can use those packages in our modules, and we can maybe create an object of them, and we can use them. Okay, so I think that answers your question. Very good. Now, if you know what are the packages or what are the modules, let us start using some third-party modules or the other modules which are given by Python, built-in modules and the third-party modules. We'll start using a built-in module first, and then maybe we'll see maybe third-party packages, third-party modules right after we are done with the simple demo. So this is page 4. Okay, so that page 4 is where we want to use a package or a module given by Python. So probably if you go to the Python documentation, you can find there are ton of modules given by Python. So for example, if I say import, and if I just put a kind of a maybe something like a control space, you will see different modules available here. Those modules are given by Python. So by default, they are available, and there are a few more which you are going to download from third-party sources. We'll talk about them in a minute. So probably you can see there are many given. Let's say I want to use something called as an os. Os is given by Python. Now, what is an os? This is the package with which we can deal with operating system. And there are many functions, there are many classes, and there are many things here. Now, how do I find the help about it? I hope you can understand. You are in Python. You don't need any separate documentation for it. You can directly say os underscore doc. I'm sorry, we are in package, right? So we can say something like a dir. Dir is a function, not something which you are using in Windows. So dir os will tell me what are different functions, what are different entities available for import from that package os. You can also look at the PyCharm, and again you can see what is this os. So probably if I just hover my mouse, it should show me that os is a routine for int and other depending on blah, 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 blah. It tells me what are the different options available here. Of course, you click on the documentation link and it will always give you the documentation from the right version. So probably, will you? Okay, sometimes it doesn't give me, or maybe I can just go back here and try to open this. Okay, it's not giving me, it's not a link here. Leave it. So now we can see dir os. See what does it print? Dir is a function which goes inside the module, inside that particular os, and it tells me that there are different things available here. For example, there is a CLD continued, CLD blah, 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 dir entry, something, something, something. There are many things here. Can you see that? My God, there are many things here. By the way, one quick convention again. Whenever you see something in caps like this, or O underscore XL, O underscore XLOG, and so on and so forth, all of them are generally considered as constants. You know, so different constants. These are all constants here. These constants are defined by os. You are in Python, and as I mentioned, Python heavily depends on conventions. Conventionally, a word or maybe an entity having all caps is considered as a constant. You know. Okay, so this is the built-in doc. All of them are dunder functions, dunder things. You can use them here. For example, maybe here it is. So all of these are methods, or all of these are not methods, sorry, functions. You can say ABC, abort, access, I'll say chdir, and so on and so forth, chmod, chon, ch, and whatnot. I mean, you have ton of different things here, ton of different things. So probably if you just go here and say os dot, you see every single thing here, which you can get it from that dir function. So what do you see here? Let's say x underscore no user or close or read or whatever it is. You see that all of them are given here. So basically, I don't need any ID for that. I can even just print it and I can get all the information here. For example, x no user, x database, and blah, 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 blah. You see right here, you can say the same thing, x, whatever it is, just scroll down and you see that it's CL continued, CLP, whatever you were getting it there, maybe x underscore no user, something like this, no user, no host, and so on and so forth. So dir is the function which is going to tell you what is there inside that module, the one which you have imported right on line number 1. Whichever module you are going to import, just use the dir function to find out what can you import or what can you call from that module. Okay. So the very first thing that we already have seen last time, we can also call a function called as open, and then we can also read a file by using a name of that file. This is something we already have seen earlier. I don't want to show you that again because we already have spent enough time on that. So that's open, read, maybe something like a write, all of them which we already have seen last time. Okay, now there are many different options available here. I mean, we are talking about the operating system functionalities, like maybe you can rename a file, or you can something like change the directory, or maybe you can get a listing of directories, and so on and so forth. You can change the file modes like read, write, execute, and all of these things. There are many different options available here. Many different options available here. Just scroll down and you will see ton of them. Just give me a sec. Can I find a couple of them? If not, then we can use the best option, maybe something like a rename or other things there. Just give me a sec. I'm looking for plant. Okay, it's deprecated. I was thinking like to use it, but it's deprecated. It's okay. Now you can use this os to do many things, as I said. So probably you can use a rename function, for example. So you can say rename what is your source and what is your destination. So for example, I may say I have a file here with the name, let's say my file. Sorry, where are you? Here it is. My file.txt. This is my file, for example. And probably you can say, right now we have a my file.txt, which I want to rename to something like my file 2.txt, whatever. You can just go for and then try it out. There are many functions. You can try one by one. You see, my file.txt became my file 2.txt, as simple as that. Maybe if I want to delete something, maybe you can use a function called as unlink. Unlink is the function with which you can delete that file with the name my file whatever .txt. So when you say execute this code, you see the file got deleted automatically. So unlink is the way you can delete the file. Rename is the way you can rename the file, and whatnot. There are many different options available here. So os dot, and you can give it a try with all of these things there, operating system specific there. So rename, remove directory, maybe you can copy from here to there, then delete the file, delete the directory, or maybe you can move the file instead of copy pasting and whatnot. You just think about the option, what you do in operating system, and you can do all these things here, all these things here. Maybe you can just go for a listing directories as well. So it will give me all the directories inside that file, whatnot. I'm not going to waste your and my time to do this because there are so many functions there. All I'm trying to tell you that there are many options available with which you can deal with that module. Similar to this is kind of, there is a module like a time. So probably not time, maybe I'll say timestamp, or maybe I can use a time and then I can use a timestamp there. There are many different modules available, and those modules are given by Python. I don't know what needs to call here, not a big deal. I'm just going to say dir time. And when I say this, probably I can find there are many different things available here. I can get the current time, I can get the daylight saving, I can get all this information right here. You see, this is the kind of set of files, set of functions I can call, set of constants I can use, set of maybe a kind of maybe classes that I can create an object of, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go back here and say print time underscore underscore doc underscore underscore, though it's not written. I want to see what exactly can be done here. This module provides a various function to manipulate the time values and so on and so forth. You see, this is an example it is given, and this is a documentation for the time module, which you can hover on this and you can read the same thing here. So probably if I just hover my mouse today, finally I can get the information about this one. So probably I can use that doc and I can read the information and see what exactly can be done. Probably I just want to create an object of, not object, but I want to call a function time.time. So time.time will tell me what is the current time. So current time, something like this. So we are in Python. So current time, for example, and let me see what is the current time here. So current time, and when I say run, probably you can see that this is what it is telling me, the current time in milliseconds. So this is the current time in milliseconds. I cannot understand this current millisecond. So can I convert that? Of course you can. Not right now. Right now I want to use it for some different purpose. Remember I talked about something at the time of discussing something called as the decorators. I said sometimes you want to check the performance of your function or performance of your application. How do you do that? You do that with the help of this time. For example, maybe if I'm running a for loop, let's understand that I have a numbers collection where I can use a range function and I can say start from 1 to, let's say 1, or maybe how much it is, 100,000. So 1 to 100,000. Run a for loop and get maybe a square of every single number. So probably number in numbers, and I want to get a square, let's say number star 2. I don't want to do anything about with that square. Just want to create a just want to get the square out of it. So I started calling this time.time to get the current time before I start doing my thing. Then I'll just go back here and again I call maybe the current time, or maybe the time right now. Better I can say time 1 and time 2. Don't want to print anything. And then if I want to see how much time it has taken, I can say the difference is equals to time 2 minus time 1. So basically what you can do here is like you can simply tell me like what exactly the performance you are getting on your machine. So probably I can say the time taken, of course in milliseconds, is equals to the difference. So when I say run, probably it has taken this many milliseconds to execute. So maybe this many seconds, not millisecond, this many seconds to execute. So probably it has taken 0.05. It means almost like 5 milliseconds to execute your code. Maybe if it is doing large numbers calculation, so let me add one more, 1 million. See, it has taken a considerable, almost like half a second to do it. If I add one more, it's very much risky. Instead of adding one more here, I'll add, let's say 5 million. If I want to get the square of 5 million, my machine has taken almost like 2.3 seconds. Now this is going to be a kind of important when you want to check how much performance your application is giving you at the time. So if you're writing a logic and if you see how good the logic is, how much less time it is taking every single time you refactor your code, this is going to be very useful. Guess what? You can do this with the help of decorator. I don't know whether you can recall this, but I told you, I'll give an example of decorator one more time later when we know something called as a package. So we know package, we can import this time package, and then we can simply start getting a performance of your application by attaching a kind of something like a decorator. I don't know how many of you can still recall the decorator here, but I want to create one very quickly by saying this is the function. Maybe I can say calculate time or calculate performance, calculate time or performance, whatever you say. I don't need anything here. That's a simple function. And of course, we need an inner function as well, which you can say args, and of course, star kw args, args and quarks. You know that. And then you can simply call that function pass args and pass star quarks. And then probably you are going to say return, So this is a kind of a decorator. We already have discussed this earlier. Now, how do I take a benefit of it, and then I can get the timing here? The same thing I told you earlier as well. So what you can do here is time 1 is equals to time.time, and again time 2 is equals to time 2 dot time. So you know that this is where your function is getting called. Just before calling the function, you can record the time. Just after function is executed, record the time, and then you can get the difference, the logic which I told you earlier, which is equals to time 2 minus time 1. As simple as that. Now you can print the time it has taken. So time taken, which is equals to again the difference. So whenever you want to measure the performance of a function later tomorrow when we start using NumPy, we have to do it, because that's the main reason why we are not going to use the collections in Python and why we are going to move to another package called as a NumPy, just because of the performance. And tomorrow I'll prove you the performance in NumPy is way better than in Python's collection compared to the Python's collection. Check this out. Right now I have a function. Let's say this is my function, for example, which is simply doing the same job what I was doing earlier. Let's say there is a numbers which is giving me numbers starting from 1 to, let's say, 1 million, I guess. Yes. So probably I'm just going to go back here and get the square of every number. So number in numbers, just get the square. Don't print it, otherwise it will take a lot of time. So square is equals to number star star 2. And probably I want to print nothing. That's it. So this is the function. Let me just call that function my function. And when I say run, probably you will see nothing on the console. You will see nothing on the console because we didn't do anything other than this. If I want to measure the performance of it, I can just attach that as a kind of a decorator by saying calculate time. When I do it, probably you can see automatically the time taken is almost like 0.4 seconds. See the advantage of using a decorator here. So whenever I want to measure any I want to measure a performance of any function, I just need to go ahead and attach this particular decorator there, and yes, you are done. So probably you can see this one, maybe it is using almost like 10 million number square, and probably it is taking almost like 4.1 seconds. That's the use case of having a kind of a decorator. I showed you a couple of decorator examples earlier as well. This is another example where it is useful for testers to test the performance of an application, performance of a function written by a developer. Of course, developer can also do it, but it's more or less useful for a tester. So if you are being a tester, or if you want to go for a testing career, then this is something that you have to keep on doing every time. You have to measure your performance, and then you have to submit the issues you are facing. Like in this scenario, the application is not performing very well. The application is giving me the lowest performance, to do something about it. So that kind of stuff you can detect it by using something like a decorator. And in this decorator, I'm using a package called as time. The time again is given by Python. So Python's built-in packages, there are many actually. One of them is like a time. One of the other one is kind of a os. There are many. Just say import and say control space, and you will see list of them, literally list of them. But do you know what? Even though we are having many of them here, but still there are very least of them which we can really use in the actual scenario or in the actual coding. For example, starting from tomorrow, we have to change our mindset. Till now, we were just thinking about how to use those features, or how to write the code, or what are the different syntax changes that you can compare with the other languages and stuff like that. Now, starting from tomorrow, I'm going to consider all of us as Python developers having knowledge of how to write the Python application, and we'll start doing something meaningful every single day. For example, starting tomorrow, we are going to use a package called as NumPy, where we will start building a kind of a foundation for machine learning. So those who want to pursue their career in machine learning, for them, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, 2 days after tomorrow's, all these sessions will be pretty much important, where we are going to talk about NumPy, Pandas, and Matplotlib. All of these three packages will be used for: 1, processing a large array; 2, processing your data source; and 3, for showing different number of charts on your screen using different options available there. So there are different packages which are very famous in the industry, which we are going to start writing, or we are going to start using them. But to use them, we'll have to get them installed. Till now, whatever packages I've used, like I used other packages like my package Sunbeam or my package Quiz, or just now I used OS, or just now I used Time. I never have installed anything, because all of them were either there in my current directory, or by default provided by Python. Now, if I want to use these packages like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, OpenCV, something like Selenium, and there are many others, maybe Flask, there are many others. So there are 6 packages we are going to explore at least, and those 6 packages we want to explore every single day starting from tomorrow. For them, I mean, for those packages will not be available on your machine like what we are doing right now, but we have to get them installed. So how do we install them? To install them, go back to your command prompt. You can directly go to command prompt by opening a separate window, or because you are in PyCharm, Python also has a terminal here. So click on terminal. My terminal will be a little bit different than yours because I already have customized it. So don't compare this with yours. It will be a little bit difficult for you to realize that. But anyways, in this case, if I want to install a package, so tomorrow we want to start with something called as a NumPy. How do I install this? To install it, if you're on Linux, use the command sudo, say pip3. If you're on Windows, just say pip3. If you're on Linux or Mac, say sudo pip3 and say install and name of your package that you want to install, NumPy. So say sudo install NumPy. My case, I'm already having it installed, so it's not going to install anything again. It just says the required package or required library is already present. It's already satisfied. So it's not going to install it again. In your machine, hopefully, if you're not using NumPy or if you haven't downloaded it before, it will install very quickly and then you are good to start with it. If you want to install, let's say Pandas, same command, let's say Pandas. So it is going to install the Pandas. In my case, it's already installed. I don't have to do it anything for us. So whenever I'll tell you, like, please install this, please install that, just go ahead, use this simple package, sudo pip3 install and do the job. That's it. This is the way you can install different packages on your machine. Those packages which are not given by Python or not added by you, those packages which are kind of industry standard, you can install them by using this command pip3. Python index packaging. That's pip3 stands for Python index packaging. And those packages you can install by using this pip3 command on your machine. So go ahead, install this, and probably you are kind of done with those packages, and then you can start using them one by one. Utpal, all these packages are available only for OP? Of course not. Did you see that here? Probably Utpal, did you see that? I never have used any class here. I never have created any class here. These are all POPs. Okay. So depending again which package you are using, whether the package is giving you a class or a function. So not necessarily it has to be POP or OP. You can use it anywhere. Okay. Milling, your question means we are switching to advanced level as you showed in the first day, the basic, intermediate and advanced. Yes, basic we already have finished before OP. Intermediate we have finished with before OP we were in the beginning. In OP we were in intermediate. Starting from tomorrow we'll go in the next phase, advanced. And I can bet on this. Today the count was almost like 110, 112, 113 for example. Starting from tomorrow, I'll see the count is going to get reduced day by day. Let's see if you can prove me wrong. I would be very much happier to back out my statement, but I know that's not going to happen. This is my observation. As and when we start talking about advanced topics, people generally start dropping. So don't do that. Starting from tomorrow is the core Python. Whatever you have learned right now, it's of just for making you understand how to write the Python code. When you go to industry, you're not going to write the Python code without these packages. It's like a kind of, you can say a kind of a toy without batteries. A Python is a toy without batteries. The batteries are nothing but the packages. Unless you put the batteries in your toy is not going to work. So if you want to have a fun with your toys, you have to put the batteries on them. And those batteries, we are going to start talking about them starting from tomorrow. Okay. So please understand these things, and please don't miss any of the sessions starting from tomorrow. There are only 6 or maximum 7 sessions remaining. Please attend all of them and get them, get all of them. Okay. Anyways, we'll start from tomorrow and we'll see which packages we will start looking at. Tomorrow's one is the NumPy. Anyways, I'm telling you before we start even talking about it. Windows also the same command. Yes, Windows also you are going to use the same command. That's it. Yes, Ketan, for I'll talk about every package later when we are going to use them. Tomorrow we need NumPy. Get this installed today itself. Day after tomorrow, we are going to talk about pandas. I'll tell you the command to install it. So whenever we need a package before that day, I'll tell you to install it and you can get it installed. Okay. Adesh, can we also alias the default package? Yes, you can. That's what we are going to do tomorrow. So probably not only default, we are going to do it for ourselves as well. For example, I can say import numpy, import numpy as np. So next time onwards, whenever I want to use anything from numpy, I'll use it from np. Same thing you can do it here. Import time as a t. So whatever you want to use, you will have to say t dot something. Okay. So you can use alias not only for yours, but also systems or third-party packages as well. Okay. Sagar, how to use Windows? For Windows also is the same command. It's the pip3 command. Yes, don't use sudo on Windows. Otherwise, everything is same. So whenever you want to install something on Windows, you just have to use only one pip command, pip3 command, not the sudo pip3. Sudo is required for Linux, not for Windows. So you can say pip3 install numpy on Windows and probably you can install it without having any problem. Okay. Need more time to digest and practice the same. Of course, it will take some time. Please do it regularly every day and probably you will see it. Okay. What is a scratch file? Which scratch file you're talking about, Amarendra? I'm not getting what exactly the context you are talking about. Command from matplotlib, we'll talk about this. Is there any ML batch after this batch? Oh yes, we'll talk about the ML batch towards the end of it. Priyanka, from where we need to install numpy? Just go to command prompt and install this. Use this command. That's it. You can use your command prompt. You can use the PyCharm's command prompt, one at the same time. Okay. So there is nothing different than what you have done earlier. Just go to command prompt and execute this command. That's it. Yes, Vikas, I'll tell you that tomorrow as well before we start with this. Okay. Melin, how to use and edit multiple lines at the same time? Edit multiple lines. It depends on your operating system. For example, I guess on operating system like Linux, it's control and shift. Control shift, click on multiple lines and that will work. Okay. I look at the shortcut, you will see that. Okay, Rohit, are we going to take a web applications using Python or Flask? We are using Flask. And it's not a complete web application. It will be more or less web services. We'll explain that when we go to that package. Okay. Ketan, you told one example on multi-threading. Of course, yes, not from OS package. We'll talk about this. I'll talk about this little bit. It's a little bit even advanced of advanced. So we'll talk about this little bit later. But don't worry. When I say something, I will talk about it. Don't worry about that. Instead of pip3, pip command will work or not. Amar, it will work, but don't use that because when you are using Python 3, it will always look for the specific directory. So probably it's better you can go with that one. Okay. Utpal, pip3, if it is not installed on your machine, which operating system are you using? If you're using Windows, then update your Python 3, it will install pip3 on your machine. For Python, can we say write one cell anywhere? Absolutely, yes. That's what I mentioned it earlier. It already has Python 3, then it should work. And if it is not working for pip3 on Windows, use pip, doesn't matter. So on Windows, even if you are using pip, it's okay. On Linux, it will generally create a problem. So you say pip install pip install numpy, it should work there as well. Okay, not a big deal. You can do it there or you can do it there. It's not a big deal. Of course, just you need to use the command pip or pip3 depending again on your operating system there. Okay. Anyways, get it installed. Tomorrow also I'll mention this one more time before we start with the actual package. Tomorrow don't miss that numpy session because tomorrow's session is a kind of a foundation, not only for machine learning, but the foundation for pandas as well and matplot as well. Anyways, again, as usual, thank you guys for attending today's session. Let's call it a day. I'll see you tomorrow exactly at 8 o'clock in the morning. Till then, bye-bye. Have a very great day ahead. Okay. See you tomorrow.